Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live review and live reaction and player ratings live stream. We do so many things all at once, it's mental. Of Chelsea 2, Crystal Palace 0. Was the game great? No. But Ruben Loftus-Cheek scored a goal, so I am so far over the moon on my bloody Mars. You wouldn't even believe it. I am so pleased. You have no idea. But yeah, the first half was really, really stinky. We'll get into that, of course, in more detail. Second half was a bit better. Some very interesting tactical minor changes for Thomas Tuchel, especially Reece James's position on the ball in the second half. Very interesting. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, we've qualified for the FA Cup final. Thomas Tuchel's 6th final in just 15 months in charge that he's qualified for. Of course, a win ratio of those finals we need to work on. So let's hopefully, we do work on that come May. In the FA Cup final, especially because we got some unfinished business with Liverpool at Wembley in a cup final. Like we need to sort that out. And hey, we managed to overcome Anthony Taylor today. It wasn't even half bad today, if I'm honest. Like it was a few dodgy things, but like nothing outrageous. The one dodgy thing was I initially thought was dodgy was just a blatant dive by Kai Havertz. We don't ever do that again, Kai. Also, have you heard of VAR? Diving is very pointless these days, so don't do it anymore, please. And people were telling me he tripped. No, he didn't. He just dived, right? It's okay to criticize their own players for diving. It's okay. You don't need to always find excuses for our own players. It's acceptable. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're through to another final. Lovely chubbly, really. Jem, I haven't actually spoken to you on a stream in a hot minute, so I'm very glad to have you back on. First of all, I hope you're well. Secondly, the game wasn't great, but to qualify for another final, can't really ask for much more, can you?
Not really, no. It was job done, really, wasn't it? I think second half, I mean, on the first half performance, I kind of said at half time, I don't think it could have got any more worse. I was expecting that kind of performance in the second half. I'd have been shocked, really, if we'd come out and played exactly like we did in the first half. But I think Tuchel, not only with his words, made some quite key decisions. I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that later on once we get into it, but it's a couple of things that I noticed with the formation and what he did with certain personnel that made us just look automatically better. And one of them was the one that scored the goal for me as well, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So yeah, I'm happy we got it done. Poor performance in the first half. We just didn't look up for it. Second half was better, but I'm happy that we're up against Liverpool because we do own one, don't we?
We really, really do. Pice, thank you for coming as well. Weird question to start off with for you, other than obviously the obvious fact, qualified for the final, brilliant. But why do we keep playing in our yellow shirt? A bit confused by that. Like against Real Madrid, they're playing white. We could have comfortably played in the home shirt. I mean, it's ugly, so I have no problem with not using it. And then today, we were even the home team, and we chose to play in the away shirt, which I'm very confused about. Any thoughts on that? But also, of course, qualify for another final. Let's hope we can do him this time. Bloody Liverpool.
Yeah, can we please not lose this one, Chelsea? I'm begging you. This is our third FA Cup final in a row. Like, this is our competition. We always get to the bloody final. Just please don't lose, especially not against Liverpool. Like last time was heartbreak. We took them all the way to penalties and lost. And I'm really looking forward to that game because I said when Liverpool played City, I want to face Liverpool if it's out of those two. As you said, the game wasn't great today, but we got the job done. I always thought when we scored the first goal, it'd be a lot easier. Palace defended pretty well, but we didn't really offer anything in the first half. And I've been saying this for ages. We are second half FC. I'll tell you, the amount of times I've been to games or watched games this season where we are absolutely diabolical in the first half, and then the second half we end up doing something and win the game. It's like, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm just happy we got through, bro. And just got to keep getting points in the league so we don't, slip away and then all roads lead to that final in May. Really want this FA Cup. We've not won it in a while, so yeah.
There you go. But no thoughts on the yellow shirt?
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought we'd be wearing it because we were the away team. But if we were the home team, then we should have worn it. And they should have. Yeah, well, they should have wore their away kit then. Maybe it's like we have to wear it a certain amount of times or something. I don't know. Most likely the only reason.
Maybe it's like a sponsorship deal with Nike.
Yeah, well, it must be because otherwise we would have worn our home shirt. So I don't know. That must be the reason.
And the same goes for Madrid, right? Like obviously we were the away team in that, but
yeah,
they played in white, so clearly we could have played in blue.
Yeah, maybe it's like to do with the different competitions. You have to wear it a certain amount of times or something, but it's weird. We never ever see our third kits, do we? It's always the second one.
Yeah, it's very true. Although we haven't played in yellow that often this season as well. Maybe the boys just prefer it because obviously, you know, we had an absolute stinker in the home show against Brentford and then the first day against Madrid. We played in the away show. We won 6-0 at Southampton, won 3-2 at the Bernabeu, and now won 2-0 in the FA Cup semi-final. Maybe we should just play in yellow every game. Maybe that's all that was missing. Who knows? But Clutch, let me get to you. First of all, thank you for being back on. Obviously missed one yesterday. But yeah, like the boys have said so far, not brilliant in terms of performance, not by any stretch of the imagination. But to qualify for another final is brilliant.
Yeah, I think the result is good. I think the way we got to the result wasn't exactly the best. But you know, in this game, especially in cup competitions, it's about doing what you have to get through. And I think even though you have that first half, which my eyes are still bleeding, I'm still trying to catch up from it. We made it through. So, you know, and as far as the yellow shirts go, you know, I like the yellow shirt probably better now. I used to not like it as much as I like the home shirt, but I like it a lot better now. And for me, anytime, I love when I get to wear it. So I'll probably end up getting that jersey here in a little bit.
Why not? Why not, mate? I absolutely see it. Now, let's get into the game. Let's get to talking about the game. But ladies and gentlemen, before that, please do subscribe if you're new here. Whether you're watching this live right now or once this has turned into a video, when the road to 15,000 subscribers, we're getting ever closer. So please do subscribe and smash that like button for me. Now, to start with, we should probably discuss the lineup. Now, in the end, obviously everything turned out okay for me and Ruben. But when the lineup came out, I can't even lie, and I'll be completely honest with you, I was absolutely livid with Thomas Tuchel. Like, we were sat here in the preview yesterday. I spent 5 minutes reading out his whole waffle, essentially, about Loftus-Cheek that he gave in the press conference, and read out the whole thing. We discussed it for 15 minutes, and then he proceeds to drop him. I'm like, surely you can't get at a guy, oh, you need to believe in yourself more, you're so great. Surely then dropping him is about the worst thing you can possibly do. Obviously, he was, in the end, lucky to come on because, unfortunately, Mateo Kovacic had to come off injured, and then he was able to influence the game by scoring the 1-0. But still, I don't understand that. But aside from that, the lineup was interesting. Now, Thiago Silva being rested, not exactly shocking. Kovacic and Jorginho in midfield, not exactly shocking to me either. What was shocking, and what I don't think any of us saw coming when we saw the lineup being released, especially as Chelsea social media team released it as, I think, Aspie looking like he would be the right centre-back and Reece James the right wing-back. That was the other way around. Obviously, Crystal Palace do have a few of their threats and, you know, Wilfried Zaha's pace and stuff. But still, that was an interesting one that he would go for it that way. Especially then even more so, why would you drop Loftus-Cheek? I mean, some people, when I complained about this when the lineup came out, said, oh, well, Reece James is better at right wing-back. Are you going to drop Reece James for Ruben Loftus-Cheek? And while I didn't reply, in my head, I was like, yeah, I mean, fair enough. But I just felt harshly done by for Ruben, right? But if you are going to play Aspie at right wing back anyway, still in that kind of role where he needs to move into midfield half the time, why on earth would you ever pick Aspie over Ruben at doing that? I don't understand at all. But hey, here we are. I'll do the other way around. Clutch, what was your thoughts when the lineup came out? I mean, obviously, I presume you didn't realize either it would be Reece James at right back. But let's not say when the lineup came out. Let's say once we realized that's how we, fielded the team, I suppose.
I kind of expected it to go this way. I mean, everybody out there, I feel like they deserved it. Werner's had a couple good games, so I thought he deserved to have a start, obviously. And then James being right center back, it just made sense. You want somebody to cover Zaha. Who do you want, Aspie or James? I want James covering him. Now, when you say Aspie over Ruben, especially given the performances Ruben's been giving there lately, yeah, but Ruben's also been a lot of minutes, and you're just not going to drop the captain because you're not going to put him on the left. That's just not going to happen. So, unfortunately for Ruben, Aspie is the club captain, and he's got to play. I've
got no problem with that. I understand that, but Palace didn't pose a threat at all, really. There was a couple of times where if anything, it was from corners, nothing really out of play, and if anything, it was Christensen that dealt with it rather than Reece James for the most part. Not because Reece wasn't good, he was, but just wasn't really. Other than 1, 2, or 3 moments, Aspie could have handled that just fine. Surely, it's Wilfried Zaha. I know he's talented and I know he's quick, but he's Wilfried Zaha. Let's not come on. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, he did in Christensen a couple times today, so it's not entirely impossible. If Aspie's there, he was gonna do it more. I'm sorry, Christensen at this moment, I think is a better one-on-one defender than Aspie. I think, but hey,
Probably.
everything else I was fine with. So unfortunately, I didn't think Jorginho was going to be there. The only other shot would be if you put Kovacic and Ruben there, or Jorginho and Ruben. But unfortunately for Ruben, he had to come on. But hey, when he came on, he was pretty good.
There you go. I mean, hey, maybe I'll just go with that theory. Maybe if Ruben's just going to start against Arsenal. Although they're like, obviously the size of the game is bigger against Crystal Palace, but the opposition, even though Palace recently just beat Arsenal 3-0, is still better in Arsenal. So like, if I'm going to have to do this Aspie and Reece both together thing, I feel like that's more applicable against Arsenal than it is against Palace for me personally, but obviously each to their own. Jem, why don't I get to you? What did you think of the lineup? And also, what did you think of it once you realised, I suppose, that it was Reece James as right centre-back again, of course, like it was against Real Madrid on Tuesday?
I wasn't specifically shocked about the lineup. When it actually came out, I was actually quite happy with it, to be honest. The only real surprise to me was the fact that Reece James wasn't played. Well, it wasn't a real surprise because earlier today I was talking about Reece James playing as this right centre-back, and I keep saying that I feel Tuchel wants him there in the long run. I feel Tuchel... People forget Christensen's going. Aspie's pretty much on his last legs. Eventually, we're going to need someone to come in there. And I know there's talks about us getting people like Jules Koundé at a later stage and stuff, but at the moment, I just feel that Tuchel, even though I think James is great as a wing-back and I preferably like him now, I think Tuchel actually looks at him as a right centre-back potentially being used in there as well.
If we want to convince Livramento of ever coming back, it's what you've got to do, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Aspie, for me, Aspie as a wing-back just doesn't work. For me, he either has to play right centre-back or he shouldn't be playing whatsoever. He can't even play left centre-back. We saw it against Madrid and he's just not at it. And, you know, even in the first half, he just looked so slow. He just wasn't there. He tried to do a scissor kick which hit his knee and went God knows where, you know, when Werner crossed it across to him. Like, it just, I don't know. I mean, look, the overall team was fine. I mean, I get why he switched Aspie and James in regards to Zaha. You got to bear in mind, I think the 3 or 4 times that James has played against Zaha, he's had him in his back pocket. So Tuchel's probably thinking, let's just keep him quiet. And I agree, it's just only Wilfried Zaha. But
I swear so has Aspie, though, because when was the last time we lost against Palace?
Do you know what it is with Aspie? I actually think him standing up one-on-one, I think he's probably one of the best defenders at doing that on a one-on-one basis. The only problem we got with Aspie is if he does get caught once we've got the high line, you know, behind the pockets with the speed, and that's where Zaha would have done him. So maybe Tuchel didn't want to take that risk, and yeah, it was all right lineup. Can't complain.
There you go. Now I've just thought of something. Might be completely, you know, just a theory in my head, but one explanation I would have in my head for why we would do that, because I still personally don't think Thomas Tuchel is that scared of Wilfried Zaha that would be why he switches Aspie and Reece James around. Maybe because obviously Reece James, with all of his injury troubles so far in 2022 and having played 120 minutes at the Bernabeu, maybe he played there just so it's a little bit less running. Maybe. Who knows? Pice, what do you reckon? Potentially that could be a reason why Reece was a right centre back, or a no from you?
No, I thought it was because of Zaha as well. I kind of thought it was the same kind of thing as Vinicius. If he got one-on-one with Reece James, I'd be much more comfortable with him.
People must think of Zaha is much better than I do. But
he's
anyway,
been pretty good this season, to be honest, mate. He's actually been very good this season. Like, he's a great dribbler. Like, if you're a manager,
we didn't do it against Sadio Mane, so why would we do it against Zaha?
I don't know. Like, if you're a manager and you think tactically, like, who would you rather want against Zaha, especially because Reece James played great, like, right centre back last game. I think it made sense. Just on Loftus-Cheek, I was watching Tuchel's interview and he said he didn't play Ruben because he expected Palace to play a back 4, whatever that means. So that was quite interesting. He said he deserved to start, and he also wanted Aspie on the pitch. So that's just a little bit of context there. Fair
play. Thanks. There you go. Well, let's get into those ratings because, well, and at some point we need to start, otherwise we'll sit here for 2.5 hours again. One other minor surprise, I suppose, depending on how you view it, actually, which I only realised like 5 minutes into the game, if I'm honest, even though I saw the lineup obviously an hour before the game. Mendy started in goal over Kepa. Does this mean we've seen the last of Kepa? Jem obviously didn't speak to you in the preview yesterday. Did you think it would be Mendy or did you think it would be Kepa? Because, I mean, in the final, it's maybe a different story, but, you know, otherwise, Kepa may never play for us again.
I just think Tuchel's trying to play him back into form. Sorry, my throat's just got a bit
Many
funny.
days.
It just went down the wrong hole. Yeah, I think he's just trying to play him back into form, to be honest. I think Kepa, it did surprise me that Kepa didn't play. I know he's played most of the cup games and whatever, but you got to bear in mind, we're in a position where we could literally be walking away with no title, no trophies this year. And I think he's taking this FA Cup pretty serious in terms of actually trying to win it. And by doing that, even though it was only Palace, and I said we shouldn't be taking them lightly, if your best players are always available to play and it's a semi-final, you're playing irrelevant if we've got Arsenal on Wednesday. It's an important game. And for me, even though he's not had the greatest of 2-3 games, I understand that, he's still, for me, a mile over what Kepa is in his overall game. So, yeah, I think Mendy deserves to play him.
Fair. Clutch, obviously you weren't on the preview yesterday either. You surprised that Mendy started over Kepa?
Yeah, I thought Kepa would have started this because you got to give him a game somewhere in case like the worst happens. But hey, Mendy's still our number one, so I don't disagree with it. If you got to play, like Jem said, you got to play your strongest team whenever you have.
But we didn't play our strongest team. Let's not beat around the bush. Like,
you just put Silva in there, and it's pretty much the strongest team, isn't it? According to a lot of people.
With Jorginho's
I don't
form,
think
that's
so.
not our strongest team. I can't lie.
Well, Kante hasn't been much better, so.
That's true.
Werner as well. Werner's not usually in our strongest team.
Yeah, Werner and Christensen and Jorginho, maybe you can comment, but Werner's been good recently.
And Aspie playing right wing back is certainly nowhere near our strongest 11.
No, he's not. But probably in Tuchel's mind, that's going to be the strongest 11.
I don't think Tuchel has a strongest 11.
Maybe that's why we always
so
bad in the first half, because he does weird things like starting Aspie at right wing back for no reason. But anyway, yeah, not fair. If you were surprised, Pice, obviously we spoke about it yesterday. You said you thought it would be Kepa, but you also said you would trust Tuchel. Whichever one he goes for, he did go for Mendy in the end. What rating would you give him? Otherwise, I just forget him again. So let's just get it out of the way. He essentially only really had 1 or 2 saves to make, really. And that was a decent save, but I think I thought it looked better than it was. I think it was a reasonably comfortable save.
I thought he did decent on corners as well. Didn't make any shockers with the ball. Yeah, he's just using his size and stuff like that. Like, he judges corners quite well, I think.
Oh no, I agree. It's just Palace were only really dangerous from corners. So
yeah, like he didn't have a lot to do, but he made the save. I'll go 6.5. I don't know if there's enough for a 7.
Yeah,
but I'll go 6.5 because he wasn't massively tested, but I thought he's always really good concentration wise. I feel like as well. Like I can always back him if they don't have a shot for 70 minutes, and I always feel like we're safe with him most of the time.
There you go. I'd agree with that. I'd agree with true. I'd agree with the rating as well, 6.5 for myself. His distribution, unfortunately, wasn't quite as good as it was against Madrid, but also there was a lot less attempted long balls or even switch balls to the wing backs in there today. So a bit more difficult to judge. Jem, 6.5, a bit harsh for you, about right for you. Maybe you'd go even lower.
For me, 6.5 or a 7. I mean, there's not really much to say when someone's pretty much a spectator most of the games. I think that, like you said, that save was a good save. Don't get me wrong, but it was, once you watch the replay, it was pretty it was pretty straightforward for him anyway, put it that way.
There you go. I think that's fair. And then Clutch on your end, 6.5?
Yeah, 6.5. The only thing I would say is he did parry it straight to the defender, and luckily the defender was offside. So
yeah, but if the defender isn't offside, he doesn't parry to the defender. So
maybe. I mean, you can't say that he did it because he was offside.
Too far away, and the ball wouldn't fall to him.
I think he just saved it. I think that was it. I don't think he thought about where it was going afterwards. He just made his reaction.
But as in the attacker quite physically cannot get to the ball if he was onside, because otherwise he wouldn't have been there to control it.
Yeah, fair.
I hear that. Let's get to the back three. You know what? I think Christensen was an interesting one. Obviously, we have Mr. Jem on, who's not his biggest advocate, shall we say. Interesting, in my opinion, that we decided at 2-0 up, sub Christensen off for Thiago Silva. That seemed very pointless to me, especially considering Werner looked so tired for the last 15 minutes of the game. Like, he was just resting on his own knees, just pumping and pumping. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Why not sub him off? I don't understand. But anyway, obviously he got spun by Zaha on one occasion in the second half, even though he actually defended it well first, and then he didn't really see where the ball bounced and was too slow to react. But in the first half, and also on a couple of other occasions in the second half, I thought he defended really, really well. And he was the one that kind of bailed us out of most potential counter-attacking situations that Palace had. And I thought he defended those really, really well, if I'm honest. So, yeah, once he got beat, but he kept him long enough that Zaha wouldn't have a simple cross to an unmarked Palace player in the box. He gave the rest of the defenders enough time to get in the box. So it was good, but it wasn't like, he didn't get beat on the first effort, if that makes sense. It makes it a bit better in my books. I actually thought he would play pretty well today, if I'm honest. I think also passing-wise, he was probably the best of the three, if I'm honest. I mean, Reece James different in the second half, but because he played a slightly different position, we'll get to that. But first half, I thought he was the only one that played acceptable passes. Really just kept left foot passing it to Palace every time. I was fuming every time. And Reece, he just punted it. But Havertz, Werner, Mount, they never won any long balls. So, it was a bit difficult. But yeah, might be a bit high. But I'm going to say, I'm going to say 7.5. I was going to go 8. I still feel like the 8 could be on. I'll go 7.5 and see what you say. Clutch, you went last for the last one. So why don't you go first to this one? What do you think?
I think 7.5 is spot on. There was quite a few attacks in the first half that he was single-handedly stopping. Who lost the ball and got lucky? Was it Jorginho? Or was it?
Chances are today it was Jorginho, but I don't know.
Yeah, that he actually stopped a counter because of a poor Jorginho ball. He got caught in dispossession. That's what it was. I remember now. But yeah, I think AC was probably our best solo defender today at 7 points. So yeah, 7.5.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I mean, I can't really remember Rudiger or Reece James doing anything wrong necessarily. And I think then it's almost more down to the fact that Christensen was the one in the middle, hence why it was him that stopped those counterattacks, because it's his position where you're supposed to do that, I guess. So that it's tough to compare, but obviously we'll get to the other ones. So 7.5 so far then, Pice. 7.5 fair for you? Would you go a little bit higher? What do you think?
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading about Kovacic's ankle swollen, which isn't great. Christensen, yes, 7.5 seems good. I think he at the start of the game, I thought he was a bit dodgy, but then he stopped one of the. I think Jorginho lost the ball right in the middle of the park. Tuchel went absolutely mental, and then the midfielder I think it was Kante, tried to play a through ball to Zaha, and then he just completely intercepted it really well. I thought he dealt pretty well as well, because actually it was interesting. Zaha moved away from Reece James towards the latter stages of the game and went on Christensen. I thought that was quite funny. Obviously, he couldn't do anything against Reece, and then I think Christensen dealt with some long balls as well. So yeah, he was pretty composed. 7.5 seems pretty accurate.
There you go, Jem. Then obviously you're not his biggest fan, so for that reason, would you go lower, or do you think 7.5 is about right?
7 for me. I think he just done what he's good at doing. Which, don't get me wrong, I think in the first half he covered the space well, especially when I don't know why, but Rudiger's found himself very far forward in some occasions. I was like, "Where's Rudiger?" Like many times in the first half, I was like, "Where is Rudiger?" And Alonso looked like he was more like closer to Christensen, but no, he covered the pockets well. He did make a couple of silly fouls in the first half as well. But other than that, look, his overall game was good, especially in the second half. I agree with you with his passing out. His distribution's always been quite decent. And I fully understand why Tuchel decided to play him in the middle rather than playing Thiago Silva in this game. It makes a lot of sense for that. But for me, you guys have said 7.5, so it's going to be that. But for me, it'd probably be a 7.
Fair dues. To not put you in another situation where you have to go last and then maybe can't influence it anymore. Let's do Reece James next. No, actually, let's do Rudiger next. But I'll let you go first, Jem. What do you think?
It's a weird one because for me, he always has like this consistent run of like performances. Like it's very weird to see Rudiger not play at a certain level, which he has done for a very long time now. Like it just becomes the norm when you watch Rudiger play, if that makes sense. But in this one, I thought in the first half he was caught out of position a couple of times. Again, he wasn't very troubled too much, but when there was danger in that first half, Christensen was there to cover him quite well. Second half, he was better. I agree with you with the left foot long balls to Mount and Werner, which I just don't understand sometimes, especially when you're moving the ball so slow like we are. You just keep the ball.
Especially if you're not left-footed. Yeah. Like, stop trying them if they never come off.
It's not that. Sometimes we hit that long ball when the Palace players next to that player, it's not like you're knocking a ball over the top into a space for them to run into. It's like the Palace players next to him. Why are we doing a left foot like 40-yard ball? Do you know what I mean? For Aspie to try and header it on. Do you know what I mean? I don't get it. But for me, he wasn't bad and he wasn't great. For me, it's either a 6.5 or a 7 for me, one of the two.
Okay. I'll leave that unmarked for the time being then and see what the boys say. Pice, 7, 6.5 potentially. Well, do you think there is much between them? Obviously, he very nearly scored in the second half, quite late on after Lukaku stinker.
I found that
obviously
funny
great
as well.
block from the Palace defender, but quite nearly scored.
I'm sorry, I found that so funny as well, bro. He was literally holding his groin. I hope he's all right. He went down off the ball holding his groin, and then 4 minutes later, he's running down the left wing trying to score. He's
trying to smash a top corner, yeah.
Bro, what is wrong with this guy? No, he's so funny. He's a fucking nutter. Like, oh my god. But I'll go with a 7. I don't think he was tested as much as Christensen personally.
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't know. Like, it wasn't. Yeah, 7. I'll go with 7. Not really like many long balls, I don't think, as well. Had a shot, which was terrible. He always has one 40-yard shot a game. So I can't give him points for that. I'll go with a 7. He was decent. Like, Ayew came on and didn't really notice him. Elise was more targeting Alonso in the second half when he came on late. So, yeah, I thought he played decent.
There you go. I would probably go 7 as well, if I'm honest. But, yeah. Yeah, I'd go 7. Clutch, would you agree with the 7? Would you make... I mean, Jem wasn't 100% sure between 6.5 and 7, but potentially a little bit lower than 7 for you, or would you go along with us?
First of all, I've never seen anybody say sell Havertz, and the guy in the chat said, okay, whatever. Rudiger, yeah, he's a 7. I thought he was solid today. Could have had a couple things come back, but, you can't expect him to be Superman all the time. Yeah, I think 7's fine for him.
Actually, that is a fair shout. It was really good to won the ball back in the build-up to the second goal, but is that enough to push it up to a 7.5? It's not necessarily that he was a 0.5 worse than Christensen for me. Sorry if I didn't kind of touch on to what you just said, Clutch, just reacting to the chat. It was more just, like I said a minute ago, he just wasn't as needed. Sorry, Clutch, did I interrupt you, or were you done with that?
No, I was done, so yeah.
Fair dues. Why don't I stick with you, Clutch? Reece James. Now, obviously, in the second half, just to align it a little bit, Reece James on the ball kind of moved into here while Aspie wasn't as forward, so kind of stayed a little bit here. And then we had someone out. I mean, Aspie was here still, but like not quite as forward as usually a right wing back is. But yeah, so as Reece basically, I'm not sure what exactly the intention was. If it was to build a different midfield 2 with Jorginho, so that Ruben, who then obviously came on for Kovacic, could push up more. Not sure if that was the idea or whether it was to open up new passing lanes. Whatever it was, I thought he did really well at it. Especially when
Jorginho moved to the left-hand side too. And Ruben was more like allowed to go forward on the right.
There you go. Especially that tackle in the second half when I can't remember which of the Palace players it was. Was it Kante? Was it somebody else? Can't remember. But they tried to tackle Reece James. Reece passed the ball away. They got collapsed into Reece, and that the Palace player was down injured. Hilarious. But yeah, I don't think he was absolutely amazing in the first half. Like I said, not defensively, but just passing. I think he can do more. I expect more. But the way he transitioned in that second half and the way he gave us more control on the ball and gave us more stability and gave us also more pace and creativity a little bit to some extent, not just because he himself provided it, but because it allowed... I also felt Jorginho felt more free to try some passes in the second half. Like, Jorginho was awful in the first half, but quite a bit better in the second half. Still not great, mind you, but quite a bit better at least. And obviously Mount and Ruben a bit further up. It was almost like on the ball, we played almost at a 4-2-2 with then Reece and Jorginho and then Ruben and Mount and then Werner and Kai up top. It's a weird one. But Clutch, whereabouts would you rate Reece James then?
I do rate probably Will Zaha a little bit better than most people, and I think Reece James absolutely pocketed that guy today. I think the only time he even had a chance to do anything is when he went over to the right-hand or left-hand side to kind of like get over there with Christensen. So I do give him credit for that, and I still think, even though Elise and Eze are probably the better players at the moment with Gallagher, I do think Wilfried Zaha is probably one of the players that if they're going to hurt us, he's going to hurt us. So I'd probably give him a 7. I think he did good.
Okay. Price, what do you think? 7, bit low. Would you go higher? Would you go lower potentially?
No, I'd go 7.5. I think he deserves it for the test he did have against Zaha. As I said, Zaha moved when an attacker moves away from you, then you know you've played good. So the only reason I'm not going higher is because I thought in the first half and some of the second half he didn't pass the ball quick enough. There was one occasion in the middle of the centre circle, he was literally like doing circles in the middle and then eventually passed to Rudiger. I was just like, pass it forward for God's sake. Like they were all doing this in the first half. It really annoyed me. So yeah, and obviously the only problem with him playing right centre back is just we don't have that creativity. We don't get the crosses in from him. So I don't think he can get an absurdly high rating, to be honest with you.
No, I would agree with you actually. I would agree, but let's let Jim go first. What do you think? 7, 7.5, maybe something different?
7.5 for me. He's what we need, but a couple more of him in the team. Like I keep saying, like, we need players that are versatile, players that can adapt.
Bro, if we had 10 Reece James and Mendy in goal, we were in the league every year.
We just need a bit more versatility. Like I just feel that we have too many players in this team that are very limited in this style of play, and that's it. And Reece James is just not one of them. It doesn't matter what system we play, Reece James will play it. And if you want him to go in midfield like he did today, he'll do that and he'll move. And the reason he went into midfield was purely because he wanted the ball to be moved quicker and it wasn't being done. And that's why he moved into midfield, because every time he got the ball, he looked forward. Do you know what I mean? He was trying to get the ball moving quicker, and hats off to him. You know, he is, for me. I keep saying it. For me, he's our best Cobham boy that we've got, like in terms of talent out of all of them. I think personally, but you know, he's growing, and growing, and for me, 7.5 for this performance, 100%.
I would agree with the 7.5. What Pi said, I think it's a fair point. The reason why I wouldn't go higher is just because it was just a bit too slow from it, including him, but everybody in the first half. But I was very, very happy with him in the second half, hence why still the 7.5. If I'm honest, now let's do Aspie because we're already on the right side. Yeah, I mean, that really wasn't anything special, was it? I mean, he worked his socks off, ran all day long, but that kind of awfully mistimed attempt of a fly-kicking volley summed up his game, really. Just wasn't quite there. Obviously, could the Rona have affected him? I don't know. But he just wasn't very good. He wasn't good on the ball. He wasn't good at winning tackles. He wasn't good at being in the right position when he needed to be in the right position. It just wasn't it. It just really wasn't it. To be honest, the only thing that surprised me was that he stayed on the pitch. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have had Kovacic not gotten injured. And I think Ruben would have probably come on for Aspie, maybe even at half time. But yeah, I really wasn't happy with that. Even when we played better in the second half, I mean, if somebody remembers something that I don't about particularly good things that Aspie did in the second half, please do tell me.
He was the one who started the transition for the first goal. He won the ball back. Okay,
fair enough. Yeah, okay, he did.
But that is literally the only good thing.
All right, so I was going to go 4 on that basis. I'll go 4.5 then. So, but I'm not going higher than that. I really don't think it was good. I honestly don't think it was. Like we need more. Like players just need to do more. You can't like we're too good of a football team for players to literally only be good because working hard. Now, working hard is great, and that's the basis for everything. But working hard, every one of these players should be capable of doing. Every single one of them should. There's nothing stopping any of these guys from working hard. Yeah, mentality is a thing, but that we should be drilling that into them anyway. But that's the only positive thing he did. He worked his socks off. Yeah, great, brilliant. But I need more. We played Crystal Palace, and we had nothing coming off the right, nothing, and that just weren't it. Some people in the chat, I mean, yeah, it will, Jester. That's about where I'm going. Don't worry about it. I mean, some people said 6 and 7s here. I'm surprised by that, but honestly, I think it was really, really disappointing. Pice, I feel like I haven't had you go first in a while. What do you think? 4.5 a bit harsh for myself, or?
I mean, I was just going to go 6, to be honest with you. I thought he was just average. I don't think you can go that low, because otherwise I think he would have to be awfully defensively, in my opinion. I just thought he was average, typical wing-back performance. I mean, he was okay on the ball. He tried to go up and down the pitch, but again, with Aspie here, you don't get the creativity. Took a couple of stupid shots, but other than that, I just thought he was average. So I guess for me, it's a 6.
But he did nothing going forward. How's that average and not bad? I don't understand.
Because he wasn't bad defensively, so I think it levels it out. Otherwise, I'd go for
I
like
agree.
a
I
5
thought it
or
was
something.
average defensively and bad offensively, hence why. But fair, hey.
Can I ask you a question, Laurenz?
I don't
Please
know.
do.
If I were to ask you what you rate Alonso today, what would you do?
I don't even know. I'd be willing to give him an A. I barely noticed him.
Because I think Alonso was far worse. Because he didn't do anything.
Was
Not
he?
a thing. Not a thing.
Oh, he had at
Not
least
a
one
thing.
good cross. Aspie had none.
Well,
It wasn't Alonso's cross
Aspie had them
that-
transition to get to
Wasn't
the
it
goal.
Alonso's cross
Alonso
that
did
Aspie
not.
just flew past with its weird attempt of a scissor kick?
No, that was Timo.
Was it Timo?
Yeah,
Well, but anyway, mate, I'm not saying I'm going to go higher for Alonso. Mate, I was in my head they were kind of both 4s, but then you mentioned that good thing about Aspie. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'll give him a 4.5. So, but Pice, sorry, was there anything else you wanted to add to that, or kind of done with your 6?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think he was bad going forward. I just thought he was average. I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going 6, but you guys are
Fair
probably going
dues.
lower.
Fair dues, mate. No problem at all. Clutch, you spoke there already. Why don't I ask you, what would you give him then?
A 5.5. I think his performance was 5, but he was he did contribute to getting into the transition that started the attack that led to the Ruben goal. And that Ruben goal was everything for us. If we didn't get that moment of magic, I think we go to overtime. I don't think we create because we weren't creating at that point. Well, we were to a degree, but not a lot. But I think that deserves a little bit of recognition, but I do not think he was good in any capacity. So I'd give him a 5.5.
Okay, do apologize. The camera will be back on in just a second, guys. Jem, 5.5 from Clutch, 6 from Pice, 4.5 from myself. So whereabouts would you go with that?
5.
There you go. We've got the set complete.
It's a weird one because for me it's like I get what Piers is saying, but then I'm pulling more to what Laurenz is saying, and I hear what then Clutch is saying, and it's like all of what you're all saying is just valid. Like it's actually how I feel when it comes to Aspie. Like there's not much more for me to say in regards to his performance. He doesn't give enough going forward. Yeah, it kind of worked for the first goal. Defensively, did he do much? No. But did he do much wrong? No. It's just a weird one. Like I just don't like Aspie there. And like Alonso,
even defensively, the only particularly great thing from him I remember, other than what Clutch mentioned that he helped us start the attack for the goal, was the one moment where Christensen got spun by Zaha out on the left, and then Aspie was the one that headed it away at the far post. That was the only time I really noticed him defensively as well, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm not saying that's fact. I'm just saying that's what I remember.
I just think our wing backs were just quiet overall. It's very hard to rate our wing backs when they play like they did today. And like for me, like when Aspie does play in this team, the only position he should really be playing if he plays in this team is right centre back, and that's it. Like I don't see him as a right wing back, and I know Tuchel keeps doing it. Keeps using him there for alternative games, but just doesn't work for me.
No, I hear that. Now, something I don't usually do, I give Aspie a 5.3. It should be 5.25, but we'll round that up to 5.3. That is a one-off. Other people won't be getting that. But just because we literally had a 4.5, a 5, a 5.5, and a 6, I'm like, okay, let's keep him in the middle then, and then be nice and round it up. Alonso on the other side then. Why don't I stick with you, Jem? Now, did you think Alonso was any worse? Would you just give them the same rating? Because, I mean, Clutch asked there, I don't think Alonso was any worse. I would probably have said they were about the same.
I would say that, I don't think he was worse, personally. I mean, he had these Alonso moments, don't get me wrong. But, like, Alonso's that player, you just know what you're going to get. You know his limit, and you just know it's never going to get any better than that. That Real Madrid game was just a freak game. Like, he was very good in that game, by the way, as well. But other than that, that's just not normal for Alonso. That's just like him over-exceeding.
Maybe we just need to play in Spain every week, bro.
Maybe, but what I'm saying is this what we see today is more like an Alonso. Does that make sense? Like when he plays, there's nothing new about it. So for me, he didn't do much wrong again, but he didn't do anything great. He didn't really do much down the wing. Did he keep the ball moving quick? Not really. I thought in the first half, even though a lot of people, we're going to come to in a bit, we blamed the Jorginhos and the Loftus-Cheeks in the first half. I thought our wing-backs were also a part of that mess as well. Why we weren't moving the ball quick enough, because they were just too slow in transition. So for me, I'm going to stick to a 5, same as Aspie.
Okay, the one thing I will say that Alonso actually did a lot better than Aspie is be an outlet, because at least Alonso was far enough up the pitch to be passed to in attack. I don't think even Aspie provided that a lot. I'm not saying Alonso did anything useful with it, but at least it allowed us to create some width and spread the game a little bit and stretch Palace. He did at least that. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, to be honest, I'd probably give him the same, the 4.5 that I gave Aspie. If I'll be, fair, I think I'll give him the same, if I'm honest. Pice, I'll leave you as last, so I'll go with Clutch. Sorry, you probably thought I was going to ask you then, my bad. So Clutch, you said for you, Alonso was worse than Aspie. So whereabouts does that lead you if you gave Aspie a 5.5?
Actually, I think they were about on the same terms, because what I was trying to get at is they did about as much as each other. Just Aspie had that one movement. That's it. So, I mean, I'd probably go with a 5 for Alonso. Wasn't his greatest game. Yes, we probably need to play in Spain for him to be good, which is unfortunate because we don't play in Spain. So he gets a 5.
Fair dues. And then Pice, would you also agree that they were the same and therefore also give Alonso a 6 like you gave Aspie, or do you think either one was better than the other?
Yeah, I was going to give Alonso a 6 as well. I both thought they were just average going forward and not bad defensively, to be honest. I have a feeling I would have given Alonso lower should Elise have started, because that guy is one tricky winger, I tell you. And I don't think Alonso would have done great, but who knows? He might have done brilliantly. But I'm going to have to go 6 for the same reasons that I said for Aspie, pretty much. Just box standard for me. Not great.
So you went 5.5 again, right?
Me?
Or did you go 5 this time?
Me? I went 5.
Well, then Alonso gets a 5. Because otherwise I was going to say, well, maybe Aspie's not the only one that gets the 0.3. But here we are. Now, let's get Kovacic out of the way, because obviously he had to come off injured. Probably one of our only acceptable players until he got injured. But also he was way too slow, as was everybody else around him. But then obviously very unfortunately he got injured. Pice, you read something on that? Is there anything more to say other than that his ankle was swollen?
I mean, on my Twitter, I've got a picture of him. His ankle's strapped, but he's not got clutches and he's walking. So Tuchel said it's not good news for Arsenal, which indicates it might not be too bad. But he said it's not good for Arsenal.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I guess we'll. At the end of the day, it's just hope he's back for the FA Cup final, because does anything between now and then matter? Debatable. But because he came off so early, when was it? Like 25-minute-ish? Does anyone remember exactly?
Yeah.
There you go. Shall we just do an NA? Because I feel like if we'd rate him, we'd have to rate him harsh, and I feel like
that's... rate him. You can't rate him. He's not. He didn't play, really, did he?
There you go. There you go. I will agree. So I'll put Ruben as the sub next to him. But yeah, let's get to Jorginho. His second half was better. There was a few more reasonable passes in. There was one good one to Ruben, I feel like. There was... And then was it a 1-2 with Ruben? Then Ruben played in Werner, but Werner just about couldn't get a shot away. Maybe there was 1 or 2 good ones to Mason and Aspie on the right. I don't know. Maybe to Havertz. But the first half was really bad. And Jorginho really needs to get that stick out his arse. Like, he really needs to. He's been way too poor for way too long. Like, you have something... Like, you have... What's the word I'm looking for? You have like a bit of a legacy now. Like, you came third in the Ballon d'Or. Whether justified or not, everyone will have their own opinion. But you came third in the Ballon d'Or. But obviously, that is for 1 year and for 2021. But don't be shit just because it's not 2021 anymore. Like, that he's too slow at controlling the ball, receiving the ball is what I'm looking for, receiving the ball, at turning, at passing, and 95% of the time, just pass it backwards every time. Like, and this is what's funny to me, because people criticize Jorginho for doing that for years when he was doing it. So I wonder what they're criticizing him for now, because now that he's actually doing what they're criticizing, they're probably really confused. But yeah, I thought that was really bad. Like, really, really bad. Even, like, he was, honestly, in the first half, there was like a 1, maybe a 2 at most. But the second half was better. The second half, I'd probably give him like obviously he didn't play the full second half, but for his second half, I'd probably give him like 6. Which if I say 2 and 6 puts me at a 4. So that's what I'm going to give him. But I really just don't think it was very good at all. Clutch, is that a bit too harsh, or would you go along with it?
No, I'm probably along the same lines of the second half being a 6, but I think the first half was a 0. There's very rare times I see Thomas Tuchel get that angry at somebody. Like, he almost got caught in possession 3 times.
I think he shouted at him in German, which makes no sense because Jorginho doesn't understand German.
I'm actually pretty sure he said that's your second or third ball loss now.
Oh, did he? So maybe it
I'm
wasn't
pretty
German.
sure, yeah.
Well, I don't
So
think he
there you
lost
go.
the ball in that situation. He just got very close because that's when he was like getting pushed and he does his typical Jorginho thing and drags the ball backwards and then barely gets it out into a teammate. So, I mean,
I think he did.
I love Jorginho, and I know if Khan's listening, I do love Jorginho a lot. The Jorginho I want, I've not seen since when? It's been a long time, but I guess Lille with the progressive passing last time, I think. I want that guy because that guy, he can produce such a good pass going forward, but he doesn't do it, and I don't know why.
The last great ball was clearly against Newcastle. That was a wonder pass, but
yeah. So I mean, I want that Jorginho. This Jorginho, I'd probably have to go with a 3 today. I think he's terrible.
I mean, hey, I could even be convinced to go lower than my 4. I just didn't want to go too harsh considering in the end we won. But I don't disagree if I'm honest. Price 3 from Clutch, 4 for myself. Whereabouts would you go?
I was actually going to give him a 7 for the second half. I did think he played a lot better. Like, he got on the ball more. He was passing it quicker. He was actually passing it forward. But, I mean, the first half, he just played with his head down. Like, he didn't look up every time he got on the ball, passing it sideways. I mean, I'm sorry, but that moment where he lost the ball in the middle of the park, which Christensen intercepted Coate's pass, was just awful. And I saw Tuchel's reaction. He immediately went to the bench, like jogged to the bench and told Kante to go and warm up. And I was like, yeah, Jorginho's done. He's coming off. But luckily he resurrected himself. But I don't know where that puts me because, I mean, the first half, I would have given him like a 1 or a 0 even. I thought he was awful. I don't know, 5 maybe? Just because of the second half, I thought he was a lot better. But, I mean, the first half was just terrible. It's just so bad. And I saw Conor on the Spaces saying, like, what the fuck do you want him to do? Because no one was offering for the ball. No one was making runs. For me, it was just the fact that...
by the way, Con is right with that.
Yeah, he's
so
right.
That's why everybody else is also, other than the 3 centre-backs, because they also had to defend. Maybe even the centre-back ratings are too high. Because we were so slow as a team. But that included Jorginho. So I don't think you can say, it's not Jorginho's fault. But it is. His and all the others' faults too.
Yeah, he's right. But at the same time, I just felt like he was playing with his head down. Like, he was just like... Yeah. I don't know, he always, like... And by the way, like, when he plays now, we only seem to play at one pace. Like, he used to be able to dictate whether we played faster, whether we would slow it down. That was his role. Like, there was a point where we couldn't play without Jorginho because we had no control. But now we don't even want him playing. Like what's happened there? It's just
all
weird.
I want to do is send him to the gym and do leg day because it seems like he can't get enough power on his passes. That's
so
what's
slow.
really triggering me for the last few weeks.
I know he's always been slow, but this looks like he was extra slow. Like, you've had the week off, mate. You didn't even play against Real Madrid. So, like, what's wrong with
if anything, he missed the biggest chance we had to go through still, or to get
That's
the penalties.
true, yeah, but just, I don't know. He needs to fix up because, I mean, with Kovacic injured, he's going to get more game time. And as you guys say, like, I see Tuchel angry at Werner and Hudson-Odoi mostly because they're down his side when they play on the left-hand side.
Apparently
But,
Alonso as well, but Alonso doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, like, because usually he's on the touchline, obviously, where they are. And
Yeah.
It's easy to see stuff there and he goes mental. But, like, to get that, like, I've never seen him that animated. Like, he was going nuts. Absolutely nuts him. I'll go 5, but I can be convinced for lower or whatever. Like, you know, I just don't know how to balance it out.
There you go. It's a tough one because I hear what you're saying. Obviously, he didn't even play the full second half, so you could argue we should prioritize whatever we thought of him in the first half more for the overall rating. But I did the same as you. I said 2 and 6, didn't I? So I ended up at my 4. So there you go. Jem, then. We've had 1 3, 1 4, and 1 5. So whereabouts are you going to go?
When Jordan Ayew gets the ball and goes up and down with it while Jorginho's running as fast as he can, trying to tackle him. And this is Jordan Ayew we're talking about. It becomes a bit embarrassing when you're watching a player run around like a headless chicken with no pace. And it was like, that toddler, when you're playing with a 3-year-old kid down the field and they're like trying to tackle you and they can't tackle you. Literally, that is what that reminded me of when Jordan Ayew was getting the ball, just right walking up and down with it, and Jorginho was on him. But look, the first half was shocking. But I've been saying this for a long time about Jorginho. People used to come for me about it, and this was even when he was Ballon d'Or, Mr. Finest, best player at Chelsea, can't be dropped, Jorginho.
But are you trying to tell me that he used to be as bad as he was, for example, today in the first half?
My thing, and I carry the same energy for every player. I don't have no agendas to any of them. But when it comes to Jorginho, it's not just Jorginho, others as well. It's about their consistency in being able to continuously play in that performance. And when you think about that half of the season where he was very good under Tuchel, it was about then kicking on and seeing if he could continue with that. For me, he's just been the opposite of that. And I agree with what Pi said. We only play at one speed. And what's really annoying is that even when we do try and move the ball a bit quicker, if it finds him, he just slows it down and goes backwards or sideways. And it really fucks us up. I don't think people realize how much it fucks us up. And, if you're a forward, and this is the issue, if you're a forward like Werner or Havertz and Mount, and you're continuously making runs into pockets of spaces, but not seeing the ball, eventually you're just going to be like, what's the point? And I feel that with Jorginho in the first half, I just felt like he was very, the staring at his feet thing, that it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I've never seen someone just stare at his feet so much. Look, if he just looked up for that split second and played that ball, then, it would be fine. But he progressively can do it. The issue with Jorginho is he can actually do that pass, probably better than most of the players we got. It's just that he's always reluctant to do that. He always wants to do the easy sidewards or backwards pass. It's just easier for him to just keep the ball flowing rather than actually keeping the ball moving at any pace. That's an issue in this system because the system needs pace. It needs people to move the ball quickly. It needs people to run, the second half he was good, but the reason he was better in the second half was because Thomas Tuchel decided to flick the formation a bit. He played Ruben Loftus-Cheek where I've been wanting him to play for ages, which was more
gave
like
Jorginho an easier passing option as well.
Gave him more of an easier passing option. But why? Because in the first half, Ruben and Jorginho and Cover and Jorginho were playing so close to each other, so the Palace midfield were automatically very close to him anyway. That's why Jorginho was losing the ball more, because he was getting pressed more quicker. The fact that Mount and Ruben picked up spaces further away from Jorginho or ran into pockets of spaces, dragged the Crystal Palace midfield away from Jorginho when he received the ball. And that is why he had more time, and that's why he was better in the second half, because they wasn't all over him, on top of him, because he does need a couple of seconds to think what he's going to do, unfortunately. It's just the way he is. Like, do you know what I mean? When he picks the ball up.
Pai's just put it, sorry, you can give your rating in a second, just because it fits to exactly what you're just talking about. Pai's just put in a private chat here saying that Patrick Vieira, obviously the Crystal Palace manager, said that Jorginho getting on the ball more in the second half was key to Chelsea's win. And that's 100% fact. But the reason he got on the ball more and struggled with it less was exactly what Jem just said. We slightly adapted the formation, meaning we dragged a few more players away, which gave him more time, which made it easier for him to play useful passes. And then he was good at that. Maybe I should even say second half for while he was on. Maybe it was more 6.57 for that second half. But in the first half, it was just really, really bad. And you need to be able to deal with it a little better than he did. No, not a little. You need to deal with it much better than he did in the first half. Even if you don't have time, you need to be better at that. You're playing for Chelsea Football Club. 100%. You're not playing for Palace. You need to be able to deal with it when you don't have that much time. You have to.
And that's what, again, you just said it. The fact that he had more time on the ball in the second half because of Ruben's runs, which were dragging the midfielders away from him every time he picked the ball up, made us see a better Jorginho, and actually ultimately he controlled the game better because he had the time to look up and play that ball. There was more options in front of him to play, and it wasn't like he was there. Do you know what I mean? Like Ruben's there or Kovacic is there, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that for me when you play like that with Jorginho. But for me, overall, in terms of his rating, I thought first half he was absolutely shocking. Second half he was better based on what Tuchel done in terms of the tactical switch. So for me, anything between a 4 and a 5. So whatever you want to give him.
Well, you got to be a bit more specific. Because if you say 4, I stick at a 4.
4.5.
If you say 4.5 or 5, I'd push him up to a 4.5.
4.5. Because again, I just feel he's very limited in his way of playing. You have to play to a certain way to get the best out of him. He can't adapt himself. Does that make sense? Like, that's the way I see him.
There you go. There you go. Let's get to my boy. Easiest rating of the day, clear 10. No, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Obviously, like I said, I was annoyed that he didn't start. He then obviously came on very early for Mateo Kovacic. Now, for pretty much the rest of the whole first half, for some reason, no one passed in the ball. Like, people, today was one of the big examples. When people talk about, he didn't have touches, sometimes that happens. And if you actually watch the game, you're like, well, that's actually not their fault. And I know people are going to say I'm only saying that because it's Ruben, but maybe I noticed it more because it's Ruben, but I'm not saying it because it's Ruben. But I swear he was moving around, being a passing option pretty much all the time, and he just wasn't being given the ball. Second half, we finally gave him the ball. Oh, shock, we're way better. But yeah, I'm not going to give a rating yet, except 10. But I'll let you guys go first. Clutch, why don't you go first? Oh, no, I made you go first on Jorginho, didn't I? So hold your horses. Pice, why don't you go first?
No, I mean, he got the goal which set us off. So it's got to be a high rating. I also thought, like, that confidence, which, you know what Tuchel was saying in that, when he said in that interview where, like, use his body more, like, believe in yourself, bro. That run, I don't know who he shoved off the ball, but that was like Ruben. Bro, that was Ruben from a few years ago. Like, when he gets on that, when he starts driving forward, no one could stop him. That's exactly the same then. I was like, when he did that, I was like, go on, Ruben, go on, because I wanted him to score. And then he played out wide.
Kai was good as well, just Kai screwed it up.
Yeah, Kai. Yeah, I thought Kai could have done a bit better than that because Werner was at the back post as well. But honestly, I thought Ruben was going to shoot, but yeah, he played really well in the middle. I'll go with a 9 just because he didn't play the full 90, and I felt like I don't know, to get a 10, you have to be like.
Obviously, my 10 isn't serious.
All right. No, I'll go with a 9 because the goal was very good. It took a little deflection, but I think it was probably still going in, to be honest.
Maybe it helps you. Maybe you feel obliged to go a bit higher now. My honest rating would be 8. So maybe.
No, I would still go 9 just because the way the game went, I honestly thought we wasn't going to score, and him scoring that goal, and obviously him being on the ball, driving forward, I think he deserves it. Honestly, when you impact a game, you've got to get a high rating. So I'm going to go with a 9, especially because, like, no offense to him, but he's only just come back into squad and started playing. For these other guys that have been playing more consistently to not play as well and not make that much of an impact, it's like Ruben deserves the credit for that, in my opinion.
There you go. It's exactly what I like to hear. Jem, would you go as high as Pice or a little bit lower? But I'm pretty sure we'd all agree that, well, especially in the second half, was clearly impactful.
So I'm slightly controversial when it comes to Ruben Loftus-Cheek because I know you guys love him. It's not that I don't love him.
It's not all of us. It's mostly me. A bit of Pice. Con doesn't like him at all.
It's not that I don't like him. I feel that if you're going to get the best out of him, you've got to play him how we did today, which is the 8. I don't see him anywhere else. I don't like him in the 6. I don't like him as a wing back. I know you guys were talking about he had very good games, 3 good games in that position. For me, they were okay games. I think the Real Madrid game wasn't great. I think positionally, what I don't like about it with him is that when you ask him to play your 6 or you ask him to play as a wing back, is that offensively you know what you get with him. When he's got the ball, he drives forward. He's good at that. We know he's got bundles of talent and he's good at doing it going forward. It's just his positional sense once we haven't got the ball, and just like sort of the work rate from him and like being able to make sure he's back in position when we're out off the ball and stuff. And I just feel like to get the best out of him, and we saw it in the second half, you have to play him as an 8. And for me, if you can continue finding him in that position, you've got to bear in mind, Kovacic being out, we don't know for how long. It might be the case of that we have to play Jorginho like we did in the second half, where he is kind of sitting on his own, but just use like Mount and Ruben as like the 8s playing a bit ahead with then whoever's in front of them, which I think would actually benefit us, especially against a team like Liverpool in the final. But it's the thing of like, he wasn't very good in the first half. And I know people saying he didn't get the ball and whatever else, but he was very ineffective. And, he did go a bit missing, and partly to do again because he was asked to play deep. I don't really like him sitting that deep next to Jorginho and trying to do these little 1-2s with him and, tackle and, like he doesn't really move with the ball. With Ruben, he needs to be able to move with the ball. Give him the ball, let him cover the grass and let him just go. And we saw that in the second half.
Jem, sorry. Can I just counter that a little bit? So, like, usually I'd agree with you in terms of his best position is an 8, and I still think that's his best position. But I feel like you said you didn't like the right wing back kind of hybrid role.
Mm.
Him getting on the ball that much, because our right wing back, him moving into midfield, I feel like him getting on the ball more has allowed him to become more confident and start driving with the ball again. Because previously, I don't think, for me personally, Ruben hasn't driven with the ball. Like, when he goes on those forward runs and just picks it up, kind of like everyone used to compare him to like Yaya Toure. He's not done that in ages because he doesn't have the confidence. He's hardly played. So I
And
think
he's not being
playing him,
played in position.
but
And he's
no,
not being
but
played in his position.
but playing him in that right wing back role in a hybrid when he goes into midfield, I feel lately has helped him because he's been able to get on the ball more regularly.
I think that right wing back area limits where you make your runs. Personally, I feel like when you're out there,
100%. But that's then down to the formation and not him.
But yeah, but that's because that's what Tuchel requires from a wing back, right? So that if you're playing like he was in the wing back role, you're asked to hog the right and just work up and down that sort of wing. And with Ruben, I don't think you should be doing that with him. I think you should give him the 8 role and allow him to just pick the space that he runs into and find him with the passes within that. Don't time it or limit his game because he's too talented once he's got the ball at his feet to do that.
I agree with that sentiment completely.
It's the work ethic off the ball as well for me. And with our wing backs, you've got to bear in mind they work well. They do work very hard off the ball, and they know their positional sensing is very good. I just don't think positionally he's not. Without the ball, he's all there personally. But that's it. But in terms of his performance, I'll give you the rating quickly. You can get off me. For me, it was 7.5 for me.
Okay. Thomas Tuchel described his performances against Southampton and Real Madrid as excellent. Obviously, that's his words. Debatable whether he thinks they're actually excellent or whether he just used that word. I don't know. But especially, in both games, but particularly against Madrid, I also don't think positionally he was an issue at all. Sure, he wasn't always out wide, but that was because he wasn't playing a plain, simple wing back, I would say, in that case. But yeah, 7.5 then from your end. Not sure what to turn that into just yet. So I'll wait for Clutch. Clutch then. What rating would you give Ruben?
First of all, Thomas Tuchel said a lot of things about Ruben. He said a lot of things yesterday, and he still sat the bench today, didn't he? No, I'm kidding. I think 7.5. I'm really not willing to go higher than that for anyone today. Sorry. We needed a lot of things to happen. But where Ruben did excel is he did get the goal that kind of kickstarted it. Pius is absolutely right. If Ruben doesn't get that wonder goal, we probably are going into overtime. So for me, it is... I think he deserves a higher rating than most, but I think... Is it going to be 8 regardless?
I'm going to give him an 8, so probably.
Then I'll give him an 8, just for you, Laurenz.
And now I'm going to Boozley and say 10. 8, 8.5. I leave it at an 8 regardless. But yeah, no, I was very happy with him. What can I say? It's weird for me always to speak about Ruben because, unlike some other people, not saying any of you 4 or 3, but a lot of people, they have clear, positive agendas for people, for players, but they pretend like they don't, which then, in my opinion, is weird. I am fully aware that I am sometimes slightly biased for Ruben, that I get annoyed when people slag off Ruben. It's just fact. I've been a fan of the guy for nearly 10 years now. Do you know what I mean? People hadn't even heard of his name when I was like, oh, Ruben, I like him. Do you know what I mean? I took a picture with that guy in 2016. Do you know how mad that is? I love Ruben. So I was very happy with him. I was super happy for him to score his goal. Now, Pius, do you happen to know, now that Ruben scored, has every single outfield player in our team, maybe aside from Malang Sarr, scored? Is Sarr now the only one that hasn't scored? I feel like he
Kennedy.
Sarr scored.
Kennedy hasn't scored, yeah. Casoul scored. Barkley scored. Christensen scored.
I'm trying to think.
I think Barkley scored early in the season.
Barkley's probably scored.
Yeah. And that tells me, sometimes I'm surprised Lukaku has scored when I see him play these days, but he has. So yeah, that's also sick. That we've just pretty much getting every single player in our squad a goal. I think that's pretty good. But yeah, I'm going to say 8, 8.5, whatever it is. It's going to leave him at an 8, regardless. And I'm very happy for him. Whether he will start against Arsenal, potentially now that covers out, whether it's with Kante, whether it's with Jorginho, also potentially, obviously, just might be Jorginho and Kante. Because if you play Kante with Ruben, it will be Ruben that sits again anyway. So then you might as well not play Ruben in a way. So that's when it will be frustrated. Maybe you'll play Ruben as the wing back and play Kante, Jorginho, and then kind of Ruben as a half next centre mid, but half wing back. Maybe that's what you'll do. But hey ho, let's move high up that pitch. Mason Mount got his goal, good finish. Otherwise, very quiet. Had a poor shot earlier in that second half. I'm like, why are you shooting from there? Yeah. I'm going to give him a 6, and that's including the goal. I don't think it was good, but the goal pushes it up a bit. So, hence 6. Clutch, 6 for you, potentially lower, potentially higher. What do you think?
Yeah, that was not good from him. He did get the goal, so, I mean, that is a good thing. He is continuing goal-scoring confidence, but other than that, he didn't do anything. Like, he didn't really do much at all. He was not progressing the ball, wasn't really pressing all that hard. So, for me, yeah, a 6. That's just with the goal, unfortunately for him.
Fair enough. Some people are saying don't remember Barkley scoring. Are you sure he didn't score in one of the early cup rounds? Obviously not in the Prem, but I feel like he scored in one of the early cup rounds. But maybe not. Maybe it was last season. Who knows? Rex thought Matt was one of our most active players. Did you? I mean, in the second half, I don't fully disagree. But I thought in the first half, and I'm going to get to the 2 remaining players as well, I thought they were all just so bad. Like all of them, and that included Mount, like all of them were just shocking. Like honestly shocking. And that just really annoyed me. Clutch, I always do it when you speak. I'm really sorry. I was trying to read the chat again. Did you say 6 or did you say something different?
Yeah, I said a 6.
There you go. Pice, 6 for you, potentially lower, maybe higher?
I mean, literally everyone in the chat has said 7.
Yeah, seemingly.
I was going to go 6.5 just because I think, well, he obviously got the goal, and I mean, Mendy's a 6.5. I can't give him lower than Mendy.
I think you can, because Mendy didn't do anything wrong. Mount did the whole first half wrong.
I don't know though. Like goal, I mean, for me, you're gonna have more opportunities to do something wrong in a game like this when you're in attack.
Sure.
I'll go 6.5. Good goal. Didn't really do much else. Tweeted this as well. I was like, his performances over the 90 minutes probably haven't been as consistent this season, but his goal contributions have gone up massively, and
he's 26 now this season.
Yeah, I think it's 27 actually.
I think it was 25 after Madrid, and he got one today.
Maybe.
So.
I think I saw someone say 27. It might be 26. But yeah, I think Tuchel will like that he's getting a lot more goal contributions. He's been really good in terms of that this season, but still want to see him get involved more though, bro. Because I know he can.
Games, so.
Yeah, I know he can do so much more though. Like he was just. I just feel like he doesn't get on the ball much. Like now, I don't know. The last few games, just doesn't want to. I don't know whether it's his position or I don't know. It's just been quiet. And obviously, he doesn't have a great record at Wembley anyway. He's not usually good there at all.
So it's good he got a goal, to be fair. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Maybe it helps him for the final because we need him to get those scoring boots against Liverpool.
He even said his times at Wembley haven't been great, so he wants to win the final and get one back. So, I mean, he knows he's not been great there, but yeah.
There you go. 6.5 from yourself, but 2 6s so far, so that's what I keep on screen for the time being. But maybe Jem changes it. So Jem, Mason Mount got the goal. Obviously Ruben got the one that opened it up, but Mount got the one that kind of sealed it because once it was 2-0, I think that killed Palace off in that sense, and made us a lot more comfortable. Even though we easily could have scored a third goal on a couple of occasions after that, but still a big goal. So what would you rate him?
I think when we play like we did in the first half, which was very poor, I think it's very easy for us to just point fingers at the forward line. But sometimes I think it's just a bit more than that when you look at it, because I don't think we moved the ball. We didn't move the ball quick enough. I don't think we were progressive enough. And I don't think we kind of tried to find them. Now, out of the 3, I actually thought Havertz was the worst, to be honest, but we're going to get to that in a bit. To be honest, Mount gets his goal. Was he great? No. Was he poor for me? No. Did he have an atrocious first half? Not really. I just felt like in the first half, they wasn't really being fed. It wasn't really being found, and I don't know. Sometimes I just think it's still sometimes the way we play the game, and if you're not going to move the ball quick enough to feed the Mounts and the Havertz when they're finding pockets of spaces, they're going to be ineffective. It's just common sense. And then you're going to ask them to drop deep and try and help Jorginho and whoever else to work hard and win the ball.
They played at 10 today, not part of the front 3.
But when they do get the ball, they find themselves so deep that they can't really be effective. And that's what happened in the first half, is that they were coming so deep to try and get the ball moving a bit quicker, that we didn't want them there. We wanted them further up the pitch, but when they were further up the pitch, they wasn't receiving it. So it's a hard one for me. You know, he gets his goal, and like what Pies says there, his overall form this season's not been great. But when you look at when you look at the stats and his contributions to the football club and the amount of goals he's scored in semis and quarters now as well, which I was reading on Twitter, he's becoming an important player. He's a clutch player. He's becoming a clutch player for Chelsea in the style that he scores the goals. And for me, he was better in the second half. He wasn't great in the second half, so I'd put anything between a 6.5, maybe 7, to be honest, with Mason Mount. Okay,
you know what? I would say let's leave it to the chat, but I already saw what the chat said. So let's give him a 6.5. Why don't we? If you're kind of leaning to potentially even the higher one. I mean, Clutch has just put some stats for Mason in the private chat here, which said ground duels won 0 out of 7, 0 long balls, 0 crosses completed out of 1. But the weird thing is, I quite literally remember him winning a ground duel when he won the ball back as Palace were trying to break, and he won it back literally by himself. So that makes me think stats mean nothing other than if it's a goal or assist, because everything else could be wrong. Because they say that after, like, do any of us know for a fact that he completed 0 long balls? I mean, they could say that all they want. I don't know. I'm not going to say, oh, you're wrong. But I do know that they're wrong on the ground duel. So SofaScore fix up. If I think Clutch uses SofaScore, so hence why.
That one was FootMob.
Sorry?
FootMob and SofaScore both have that.
Okay. Well, I was going to rant at FootMob because FootMob is, other than when I'm sponsored by OneFootball, my favorite football app. So, that's that one. Let's move up the pitch. I guess Werner was kind of more half left while Kai was more strikerish. Now, one thing I will say, playing in a 2 up top, even if it's with Timo, makes Kai Havertz worse. He's obviously scored against Southampton, but even against Southampton, he wasn't that great. Against Real Madrid, he wasn't that great. Not bad, but not that great. And today he wasn't, that great. If anything, shocking. But Timo Werner, why I'm going to go with Timo first especially is because even before we went on air, ladies and gentlemen, you obviously wouldn't have had this. Clutch and Jem were already arguing back and forth whether they thought Timo was awful or not. Actually, was not good or good. So why don't, you know what, Pies, I'll actually let you go first, and then I'll let these two have the floor because, well, he got an assist again. He just seems to rack these up no matter how he's playing. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. He will get an assist. Sometimes a goal. Could have had another goal had Kai squared it. Could have had another assist had Lukaku just scored his tap in. But he didn't. But I see what Jem said, that, it's too easy to criticize the forward line when we're struggling, but also when we're struggling, the forward line needs to help. That's quite literally the point. Sure, the midfielders need to fix up at 100%, hence why we criticized Jorginho as much as we did. And also in my book, in my criticism, also Alonso and Aspie. But when you see a teammate struggling, you need to help them. And none of them three did that enough, in my opinion. So that's why I'm not going to go particularly high for Werner. But I'll keep it for now. Pies, what did you make of Timo?
I thought he played pretty well, to be honest with you. I know some of you guys didn't think he did well, but I thought he was very active. I thought he was constantly making runs. Even in the first half, he was the only attacker that did something, ran down the line, crossed it back, and then Aspie did that stupid bicycle kick or whatever it was, scissor kick. I think obviously he gets goal contributions, man. Like he got the assist. Could have had another assist. I thought for what he was pretty threatening on the ball. I can't lie. I thought he was decent. I don't think he was amazing, but he's been much better than he has been. There was one moment where I got really annoyed with him when he was on the attack and he could have played it out wide. We had like a 3-on-2 and I think he got tackled or lost the ball. I was just like, for fuck's sake, like you just had to play it over to Ziyech, I think it was. But other than that, I thought he was decent. I'll go with. Oh, it's difficult. I'm looking at the defenders. I'll go with 7.5 today. I thought he was our best attacker by a long stretch, personally.
I might even agree with that, if we take away the goal that Mason scored. But fair enough. 7.5 so far. To balance it out, I now give it to Clutch, who disagrees. But how badly do you disagree?
Listen, I will give him credit for whenever he plays like this, he gets contributions, and that's something we don't normally get. But here's the problem. This is typical Timo. He's not good technically. Sure, he makes runs, but other people makes runs and we go after them. There's no context. There's no fairness to it. Timo had a decent game at best. Sorry. Yes, he made a couple good runs. Yes, he had that assist. I think the assist to Mason, I think Mason did better than Timo did. I think he tapped it in, pushed it forward. I thought that was better to.
There's not much of an assist. That is true.
So I don't exactly. Yes, the pass to Lukaku was good, and Lukaku should have put that in. But at the same time, if Ruben doesn't score, Timo doesn't have any room, and Timo's useless. They had to go for it after Ruben scored. Timo was going to come off if we didn't get that second goal. That's just how it is. That should tell you everything. So for me, I'm not going to be too bad. What do we rate Mason at the end? 7?
6.5. 6.5.
I'm going to give him a 7 because I think he was better than Mason, but I think I rated Mason a 6, so I would have generally gone with a 6.5 for him.
You can do 6.5, bro, if you want.
Well, he on the score sheet, he needs to be a little bit higher than Mason. I think he did a little bit better than Mason.
Okay. Well, in that case, then, from how Clutch spoke earlier, I thought it would go lower. So then, Jem, do you agree with Pice? Would you go potentially even higher than that? What did you make of Timo?
I know you guys don't like him. I fully get it. Don't get me wrong. But when someone's playing well, there's nothing wrong with saying that they're playing well sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I do feel that it can be slightly pushed, this narrative that he's ineffective and this, that, and the other. Because what's ineffective is paying 100 million for a striker that can't even fit in a system and get involved and at least do what he's good at, which is score goals. At least this one actually contributes and makes runs. And even when he does lose the ball, he's just sprinting half-heartedly and falling over and tackling the ball and on the floor out of breath or he's working on. Like, he just doesn't stop. That's the thing with Timo Werner. He just doesn't stop. Do you know what I mean? He always works hard. And today, for me, in the first half, he was, bearing in mind they were all bad. For me, every time the ball did find him, I thought he was useful with it. I thought he'd done what he could with it. You know, he got the ball quite well. What Pice said,
he dribbled into 3 dudes.
Well, no, he spun a player. He spun a player.
He literally ran and dribbled into 3 people.
Wait a sec. He spun a player, right? And then completely got down the wing, played the ball across into Aspie, who then absolutely kerfuffled his shot in front of goal. Yeah, his second half, you could go as far to say that he could have had a hat trick on assists today in his contribution.
What was the third one?
Lukaku,
Mason,
he set up Mason Mount, he set up Lukaku, and he played the ball across to Aspie, which he fucking.
I think expecting Aspie to score
that Aspie one, I think, is
should have
stupid
just
because
held off and controlled it rather than go for an insane scissor kick.
My point is this: at the end of the day, he's playing. You know, I'm not his biggest fan, but at the moment, out of all of our forwards, and I keep saying, I said this earlier on Twitter, it's about finding consistency from players that are actually going to benefit from this system. And I know Clutch loves Pulisic, and that's probably why he doesn't like Werner, because he can't force Pulisic back into this chat at the moment because he's not been consistently been playing well this season. But at the moment,
all right, don't do Clutch that like that.
Timo Werner at the moment is, for me, starts for Chelsea Football Club. He at the moment based on 3 games, he deserves to start. And I'm not saying that he's the best option. I'm just saying based on his performances and how he's played in terms of his consistency in these games, I think he deserves to be thrown into the team and be given the opportunity as much as any other player would if they were playing in the same form as what he has done in the last 3 games. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with us allowing him to have that chance, because if we're benefiting from it and he's working well from it, then and we're benefiting from him, even if he ain't scoring, then it's a good thing for us. Like, I just don't get this thing of he's technically not good. Every time the ball came into his feet today, he played the ball quite well. I was actually quite shocked how every time he got the ball, he looked quite comfortable with it. He just looks a lot more composed, is what I would say, with the ball. And before he had no composure. Like, usually he was just an absolute nightmare. Give him the ball, it bounced off his feet, or you know what he was like, and that just shows that it was a massive confidence issue when you look at Timo Werner for me. Like, I don't know, he might be absolutely shocking in the next 3 games. So that wouldn't surprise us, and we'll be sitting there saying Timo Werner typical. But at the moment, he, for me, and especially today, was the best out of the forward line that we had by far for me. So for me, I'll give him an 8 for me. I think he was that effective. Okay. Yeah, I do. I think his movement, his run off the pass, I think we could have found him more if we actually had progressive passers that played to his strengths. You'd realise that you'd actually find the ball more and you'd probably have more chances in front of goal, which we don't do. and not just only with him. We don't do it with most of our forwards at the moment. But you know, from what he did, he did good today. That's it.
Now, I'm a little bit less scared of you guys in the chat than Clashes. I'm going to give him a 6. I know you're going to hate me for that now. I don't really care. Now, I agree he was better than Mason Mount. I agree he was the best of the attackers. I just think you all forgot how shit we were, all of them, in the first half. I think for some reason that lost all of your... That escaped all of your mind for some reason when you give this rating. That's mental to me. That first half was the most boring game of football I've seen since Chelsea lost 1-0 to Swansea under Gus Hiddink. I've never been so bored. Like, I literally nearly fell asleep. Which is why I'm going to probably give him a 7 anyway. But the reason why I'll say that is he did have that turn when he spun the defender. Great, brilliant. The cross for Aspie, good cross, but let's not lie to ourselves. He way overhit it, and he shouldn't aim for the right wing back. So it's not a great cross, right? It's a good cross, but let's not pretend like it's a good cross. It should be going to Havertz in the middle, not to the far post. Because even if Aspie gets to it, how likely is he to score? Not particularly likely. Anyway, to Lukaku, should have had an assist. To Mount, a bit like Clutch said, it was a 2-yard pass, really. But still, you know, credit where credit's due. But we didn't have a press today. And maybe it's Tuchel's fault, maybe it is. Maybe then I shouldn't blame these three. But we just didn't. It was just non-existent. Like, Crystal Palace in that first half turned us into Toys R Us. That's how much they played us. Like, it was ridiculous. Mount, Werner, Havertz. I mean, Werner made runs, sure, but where was your runs pressing? Nowhere. It was awful. I don't understand how all of you guys are going so high. We were so bad in the first half. I cannot understand how you guys are going so high with the rate. I don't disagree that Werner was the best. I don't disagree that Werner was the best of the three. I don't disagree with that. That's why I want to give him a 6 and I gave Mount a 6, but that's with the goal. I do think Werner was better, but he was still not good. I don't understand.
How can he be, Laurenz? Let me just answer. How can you be good in a system that's not good? So that's what I'm trying to get. So if the system,
where's that excuse for everybody else?
If the system's not working, but certain personnel are still trying to make things happen, why can't we just say, well, actually, there's certain individual players in the team who are actually trying to make things happen?
It's words. I don't care what. He wasn't my man of the match. You know, who was it recently? We played some game where some random guy got man of the match, and everyone was like, "How the flip has that happened?" I can't remember which game it was. Was it one game where Pulisic all of a sudden got man of the match? This Champions League game. Which game was it? Lille? Was that it? When obviously he scored, but other than that was awful. And all of a sudden he got man of the match. And I'm like, well, that's wrong. Like I said, Werner was okay. That's why I'm giving him a 6. But we were all awful. Honestly, Jem, I can't disagree more. Like, yeah, the system didn't work because all of our players were slow as shit. Our intensity that we had on Tuesday, if we had anywhere remotely that today, we would have battered Palace off the park.
He was definitely better than Mason Mount, for sure.
Yeah,
that's fine. I agree with that.
But he's got a 6.5.
Yeah, but not for me.
What did you give him?
6. And I gave Werner a 6 because Mount scored, Werner didn't. But I think Werner was better.
Mount ain't scoring if Werner don't pass it.
I don't know. He was so bad. Like I said, that first half was the worst that I've seen us play since 2016. That is awful. That was worse than Palace away. And Lukaku only touched the ball 7 times. And we were still worse, in my opinion. Obviously, Mount got a 6.5 overall. But again, I didn't give him that. I just don't think we should be overrated players. Like, imagine we actually played well today. What would we give Werner? An 8? I mean, Jem already gave him an A now. What would we give him if we actually played well as a team? We need to leave some room for when we actually play well. We can't give out 7s, 7.5s. I mean, we did it for the centre backs. But we can't give out 7s and 8s when we play like shit for 55 minutes of a game.
We've done that with Eden Hazard. How many games when he was great? And we had team.
But Hazard is great.
No, but that's my point. Like, he had games where we were giving him 8s and 9s, and everyone else's and the systems were shocking because he was carrying the team. I'm not comparing Werner. No, that's what I'm going to say to you. I'm not comparing Werner with Hazard. Don't be stupid. But I'm just saying it's the same thing. At the end of the day, I just feel like he wasn't bad. Like, in the first half, yeah, the system didn't work, and certain individuals especially made it not work. But he wasn't the worst player when coming off at first half. I felt like he was one of out of a bad half, I actually felt like individual performance, he
agree.
was actually better
I
than most of
agree.
them.
Hence why
to be honest.
Alonso, I gave him a 4, and I wanted to give Aspie a 4, and I'm going to give Havertz a 4, and we're going to give Timo Werner a 6 because I think we were all shit, honestly. And Ruben, I gave an 8 because he scored and wasn't part of that half of that bad first half, more than half. He wasn't on the pitch. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he was in that really bad period of the game where we were really bad in the first half. He didn't play half of that. So, anyway, again, it leaves him at a 7 anyway, and it gives him the highest rating of any of the offensive players. But Kai Havertz, I said it already, I'm giving him a 4. The dive, shocking. Ruben's pass, why is he turning around and just ruining it? Could have given Timo Werner a goal. Then maybe even I would have given Werner a 7. Shocking. I don't know what he did all day today. He got absolutely manhandled by Mark Guehi consistently. Then he got riled up consistently. I mean, they fell over. Then he started kicking people. I'm like, stop, calm down. You're good. We love you. But today was a stinker. It was really, really bad. Really, really bad. That was really, really bad. Pice, well, I'm going to go with you because we've had a bit of a discussion here, so I haven't heard you speak in a minute. Would you go as harsh on Kai as I did, or don't you think it was quite as bad?
It wasn't great. Definitely wasn't great. I don't know what, like 4. I was gonna go 5. I think below average, 1 below average. I think he was worse than average, so I'll go with a 5. But yeah, he was quite ineffective. Wasn't pressing great as he usually does. I do kind of feel for him at the moment though, because I'm worried he's gonna pick up an injury if he keeps starting all these games, man. Like Rudiger already went down the scale. I'm telling you, guys ain't gonna be happy when he gets injured. And I know Lukaku's
As
bad,
long as
but
they're fit for the cup final.
I know it's just it's worrying the fuck out of me because like he's gonna burn out at some point. He's only young still, like so I do kind of give him some leeway for that because I don't know like I'll give him a 5. But I don't like I'm not really that annoyed with him today. Mostly because others turned up, but I just think I think he's just played so much lately that it's really unrealistic to demand a top performance every game for me personally.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But if you're then trusted, don't dive and don't ruin attacks. Like again, but I thought obviously this time I went first and I went really harsh. But I would have gone as hard. Like I went quite harsh on Werner. I went maybe not as harsh as I should have done on Mason. If I'm honest, maybe I should have given Mason 5.5, even with the goal because I also think he was really poor. But hey, you're very welcome to go a little bit higher. Jem, would you go a little bit higher than myself and Pice did, or whereabouts would you go for Kai?
I disagree with the fact that you said that Kai Havertz is not playing well because Timo Werner's there, or he has someone.
No, not because Timo, but because in the front too. I think that limits Kai because I think part of Kai's big strength is being able to move left, right, wherever he needs to go. When he has a partner, he's limited, and I think that makes him not as good. Whether that's Timo, Lukaku, no matter who you would put next to him.
I love Kai Havertz. He's like one player I do love a lot. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't been great. But in this game, he was non-existent, and we have to call it. Like he wasn't good enough with the ball. He was taking too many touches. I always find that with him that sometimes he finds himself in positions on the pitch that he shouldn't be there. If that makes sense, it's like we've got the ball down the wing, but then he'll go to the wing when I don't want him there. I want him in the box. Like, do you know what I mean? So at least if we're going to cross the ball, we've got someone to target because that's where he is. That's where you see the best of Kai Havertz, where he is floating a little bit here and there and everywhere, but then finds himself at the end in the box on the back of things. And today he just looked like he was trying a bit too hard to try and get involved in a game where he wasn't seeing enough of the ball, we could argue. But when he did see the ball, it was just very ineffective. And I know people would say the Ruben Loftus-Cheek one, was it an assist? I don't think it was it? I think it deflected.
No, it was a cross and deflected.
Yeah, he's kind of crossed it, and it's sort of thing. Yeah, that was okay. But his overall game out of all three of them was not good personally for me. And maybe it is the fact that he's playing pretty much every game in and out because we can't rely on someone that's on the pitch, which I don't know, on the bench, which I'm not sure if you're going to talk about next or not, if we're going to do that. But it's something that we need to see Kai kick in and do, which is consistency in his performances. We need to see that throughout a full season, and he will have bad games here and there, but it's how quick can he get back into form and be effective again. And at the moment today, he wasn't quite there. Maybe he needs a little break against Arsenal and maybe come off the bench. which I think we could possibly do with him on Wednesday. But for me, it was I'd agree. I think he was probably around a 4.5 in his performance.
Okay. Clutch then. Finish it off. Kai Havertz. What do you think?
What did Jem give him?
4.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with the 4.5. I was gonna do 4, but I'm gonna give him a little bit.
Did you sorry to interrupt you there, Clutch. Did you really think Timo was 3.5 ratings better than Havertz? That's mental. Because you gave Timo an 8, didn't you?
No, I gave Timo a.
No,
I said he would be a 6.
Sorry. No, of course you didn't. I think Jem did.
Say,
But he just gave Havertz a 4.5. Like 3.5 different. They played
Yeah, I
next to each other.
I thought Havertz was the worst out of the 3.
I agree, but not 3.5.
And what did I give Mason Mount? A 7.5 when he scored? I think I did.
I think
yeah, so or a 7,
6.5?
or maybe I can't remember, or a 6.5. So yeah, it might have been a 6.5 or a 7. So yeah, no, sorry, Clutch, go on, mate.
No, I agree. He was the worst of the 3. 4.5. I think that was a really stupid yellow card to get at what was the 15th minute or something, whatever it was. But yeah, and then he had a couple challenges where he just stupidly kind of got in his own head. So yeah, he wasn't good today. So, but he did get the assist. 4.5.
Okay, there you go. Let's do the subs. Let's not waste too much time on that, especially on a few individuals. But I do want to talk about did Mount come off, did he? For Ziyech, yeah. Ziyech, Lukaku for Kai Havertz, and then at the very end, for some very odd reason, Thiago Silva came on for Christensen. Let's start with Lukaku because he was the one who missed the sitter. Now, people are going to be like, even more think I have a Timo agenda. But today I almost felt bad for Lukaku because he looked so depressed when he missed that. I'm like, the guy doesn't even know what happened to him. Like, the interview was so dumb. But I genuinely do believe, I don't think he actually had bad intentions. I just think he's not anywhere near as smart as he thinks he is. And he just really bottled the interview like really badly and said the worst things he could have done. I don't think he had necessarily bad intent. He just tried to kind of make up with Inter fans, but that didn't work. And in the same moment, he also pissed off Chelsea fans, Chelsea the club, and his manager and his teammates. So that really went badly. And since then, he's been absolutely awful. But today he looked so depressed when he missed that. I'm like, bro, you are absolutely in the mud. And imagine he goes back to Inter and all they do next season is boo him. That would be hilarious. I'm not sure what rating to give him because other than the missed chance, the only situation I remember from him was I thought he was offside, but then we lost the ball anyway, so they never gave the offside call. But I thought he was offside anyway, so I'm not sure if I even should rate whatever he did after that, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, he played 13 minutes. So I can give him an NA. We can just give them all an NA if you want all these subs. But to talk about it, like it's a problem. I mean, Tuchel said the reason he didn't start was that he, after his injury, wasn't quite fresh enough for the intensity we needed, which is fair. But then you saw us play, and there was zero intensity in the whole game until the second half. So you might as well have started him, I guess. But maybe starting against Arsenal, I don't know. After that miss, I'm not sure if that a player that long confidence should be starting games against Arsenal. But yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, if you agree on the NA, but obviously, maybe if you have anything to say on Lukaku, Clutch.
No, was bad. That miss was bad. I call out other misses. I got to call out that one. That was a bad miss. Unfortunately, he's having a bad time. But it's a bad time of his own making. So I can't really say it's anybody but his own fault.
There you go. I couldn't agree more, if I'm honest, Jem. Probably an NA regardless, considering he played 30 minutes and we gave Kovacic an NA who played 25 minutes. But if we're talking about the miss, and his situation, it's just bad, isn't it?
Well, he missed one against Real Madrid, which injured his neck, didn't he? So he couldn't play for a game or two because he was out injured after he headed that ball. And then obviously today he comes on the pitch and tries to beat the miss that he done there. So he decides to hit the post. Listen, it's not that I've got a thing against Lukaku. I just don't think he fits what we do here. I just don't think he suits Chelsea Football Club. And it's not that he's
attempted to even adapt, and that's why I'm so annoyed at him.
But the thing is, I'd be shocked if he don't go in the summer, honestly. And I am going to be honest when I say this. If he does not score what is he on? 12 goals? Is it in the Prem or something like that? How many goals has he scored in all competitions? If he don't get anywhere near to the 20 mark, which all of us were saying he was going to easily do in all competitions, because that's what we thought he was going to do, you know, and he leaves this football club in the summer, I'm going to go as far to say he's probably the worst signing we have ever made at this football club. And you can't even throw Timo Werner at him, because I'll tell you why. Because this guy hasn't. I can't remember one good thing or contribution that this guy's done for this football club in a game.
Well, Arsenal and Villa, those two.
At least, well, yeah, but was that a great contribution? I'm saying, like, at least with Timo Werner, I can remember a couple. Do you know what I mean? He's done here and now. I just feel like his contribution is better. So for me, you know, if he goes and he doesn't sort out his form before the end of the season, he will be the worst signing that this football club has ever done for me. And yeah,
I think he's already the worst signing. I mean, he literally the amount of resale value he cost himself with that interview made him automatically the worst signing, unless he somehow came good. I mean, I guess there's still small potential of that. Essentially, just if Inter can't afford him in the summer, we can't sell him to anybody. But there's always hope. There's always a chance, I suppose. But I won't quite agree with Jem on the if he doesn't get to a certain goals, because who knows how many games he's going to play. But if he plays 2 more games, I'm not going to be critical if he doesn't score any more goals.
I'm saying if he leaves without any improvement at the end of the season, from now to the end of the season, or doesn't even contribute to any important goals.
I think he needs to start some more games, though, because we can't just if he keeps coming off the bench for 10-15 minutes for the rest of the season, it's very, very harsh to judge him off that, in my opinion. I'm telling you guys, you ain't going to be happy when Havertz gets injured. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. So I'm just saying, you need to start. Tuchel does need to start Lukaku.
Lukaku does need to start a couple of games. And who do we have after Arsenal? Does anyone know that?
West Ham.
Problem is, we just play with 10 men when he's on the. We play with 10 men when he's on the pitch, players, because he doesn't get involved. He just walks around. I mean, he walked around again today. I didn't even see.
I mean, George Benson said,
he did press
talk. Maybe that's what we need to do.
He
never say that again.
Well, he's better than being on the bench, eh? Not even.
I'd rather him be on the bench. I swear to you, I'd rather him be on the bench.
You guys are missing that unbelievable bit of hold-up play and strength he did to set up Werner, which that nearly landed in my back garden. That shot.
What when they
Bro, I'm telling you, no other striker does that in the world. That was like my jaw was dropping.
Olivier Giroud does that with his eyes closed, man. Come on,
mate. The way he backed into that bloke, that was ridiculous.
Listen, we had Olivier Giroud for a lot less money doing that. Why the hell did we bring Lukaku in to do blimmin' twerking on defenders and not scoring any goals? Like,
well, I don't need that. It's not like he's not trying, isn't it? Like, he is trying. He's just not getting the luck. He's definitely trying. You can't fault he's trying. Come on.
Oh, you can still fault he's trying. He's still not even remotely close to giving enough effort and intensity to what we actually need, to what would get him to start more regularly. If he would just run more, Tuchel would start him. No matter how shit he plays, if he just run more, that would already be an improvement.
But he's not. I don't know. He's a proper striker. Like, he's an in the box striker.
That's true. But if we play a different system, but that's not what we need. He needs to adapt, and he's not.
That's true. I agree with that.
To a certain extent, yes, but how much can you change from what you've been your whole career? Like, is that not asking a bit too much of him?
Then blame our recruitment. We shouldn't have bought him.
Well, for Belgium, he plays half a wing and he runs all the time. He runs loads for Belgium when he plays.
Yeah, but they play counter. If you look at how Lukaku was better or played very well for Inter Milan, it's because it was a lot of counter football. We don't play counter football. We're
also Manchester United play counter football.
Do you know he'll probably play better at Man United right now? Do you know what I mean? Like, he needs space to run into on the counter. Like, he doesn't get that at Chelsea because we're too slow, or we like build up play. We like moving the ball, one touch, move off the balls, movement, which he just doesn't like doing. I don't know.
I mean, but I agree with Pies still. I do think he needs. I'm not sure if Arsenal is the game, but I also don't think West Ham is the game. But at some point, Kai needs a rest.
You'll play against Arsenal.
No, he won't.
Also, Arsenal maybe that is the game, because obviously his first game coming back when he signed was against Arsenal, and he was obviously fantastic against them in that very first game. We was all sold some sort of dream, which unfortunately didn't quite come reality. But maybe that confidence, look what I did against them last time, maybe that helps him. So maybe against Arsenal is where. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Timo wasn't playing for months and months and months. Got his chance against Southampton, took it. Stayed in the side for Real Madrid, took it again. Today we'll have slightly different opinions how well he took it or how well he didn't. But regardless, the last two he certainly took his chance.
When's the last time Lukaku actually started a game in the Premier League? Like, that's my
Premier League,
point.
who
Like,
knows?
at least Werner gets opportunities, you know?
Pies, when he got dropped, this was on the back of Tuchel playing him back to back to back when we was all crying for him not to be
10
in the
games
team.
in a row he played.
And he wasn't even contributing in them games.
I know
Like,
it's true. I'm not like saying we're better with him. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I just feel like we're getting on the borderline of being unfair to him now, in my opinion.
I don't really think. I mean,
but in what way though? I mean, do you mean
You want to know the last time he started?
Yeah, like it's like Tuchel's kind of annoying me, bro. Like,
fit.
You want to know what?
Tuchel's fault that he got injured.
No, not for today, but like if he doesn't start against West Ham or Arsenal, I'm just like, because Tuchel was behind this as well. So why? Like, I know he's played shit, but like, it even come up with that quote the other day saying, "Oh, we still believe in him. He's a part of our future." Well, then fucking show it. You know what I mean? Give him a game. Give him a chance. If he's shit after 90, if he's shit after 90 minutes against Arsenal, bring him off the bench again for the rest of the season. But just give him a fucking 90 minutes, like, please. Just give everyone a fair chance. He's giving Werner a chance. Like, he's brought Loftus-Cheek back in. Like, this is still Lukaku at the end of the day. People need to realise that. I know it's not.
Ruben's actually played well, unlike Romelu Lukaku.
But that's what I mean. Exactly. That's what I mean. He's giving everyone a chance to start. But Lukaku
Ruben played well. I personally think Ruben had a few average to bad games as a single six, but otherwise has actually been good for the most.
Yeah, and he deserves to stay in the team. He does. But that's what I'm saying. I want Lukaku just. I know it's hard because Havertz is there. Like, maybe you start playing two up top again for a couple of games. I don't know, because we're not always that great going forward. I just
certainly not today in the front two.
I just don't know. It's just bugging me the fact that he could just leave after just coming off the bench for half the season. It really does bug me.
I do hear that, bro. I absolutely do hear that, especially like. But at the same time, the more we play him, the lower his value will get, unfortunately. That's at the moment in his current form. Obviously, things could change, but every time he comes off the bench, he's awful.
He's less effective.
I'm just at the point of like, it's going to be another case of what if, and I can't be asked with signing strikers anymore. I really can't. I'm done with it, bro. Any other club he scores that chance today, it's ridiculous. Hits the post, like, I mean, and another one as well. Ball came across the box. Any other club, he shoves himself at that. Probably scores a bloody diving header. Didn't even go for the ball.
Sounds like Timo Werner all over, doesn't it? Do you remember when we were saying the same thing about Timo Werner? Missing chances that he should be scoring.
As Koch said, the last time Lukaku started was Crystal Palace, a 7-touch game. Was that it? I mean, how long ago was that?
Well, that's the last time he started in the Premier League. He started against Luton, and that's the last time he started a game.
Yeah.
Tuchel's seen enough after 8 games. If we thought after these 8 games, that's it, I ain't doing it no more. I can't keep giving this guy games, man. Like,
I can understand Pius's point. Like, yes, you do got to get Lukaku a game at some point.
I don't know. I'm just not as angry with him anymore, because for me personally, he does look like he's actually trying now. I was like in those games where he played back to back to back. I was like, get the fuck off the pitch, because he was not even moving. But now I actually feel like he wants to do something. You know what I mean? Like, at least he's getting in the box. At least he's trying to get on the ball. Like today, I thought he pressed pretty well. He was chasing down the goalie. Like, he tried. It's just not happening. You know.
Right, let me ask you a question. So we're sitting here saying it's okay. Timo Werner's probably going to go in the summer, right?
No.
He's going in the summer.
No.
Him and Lukaku probably going.
No. If Lukaku goes, Timo Werner will stay.
I agree with that, actually.
Well, it could be the opposite way. I mean,
actually goes, but I fear that no one will give us the money that we will want for Lukaku, hence why Lukaku will stay.
And also, Werner, with his good performances, the club just could see, this is brilliant. We can get 50 million back now instead of 35 or 40. So we could see it that
you're
way.
going to bring in, though, didn't it? That's the question. Can't get rid of Lukaku and Werner and not bring anyone in. Like,
you're going to bring in.
I mean, we need to.
Bro's just coming back. We want Nunes.
One attacker minimum.
What are we doing with this Nunes?
No, don't do that. Please don't.
What are we doing?
He's correct, bro. I need to send you a thread on him. He's.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, Jesus Christ, this Nunes guy. Bro, I read a thread about him the other day. 20 page long thread. Oh my days, bro. I'm telling you, it's going to be worse than Werner. I'm telling you.
What, is that bad?
bro.
No, but
This,
it's not even like that.
Jesus.
He's that bad, but he's had one good season so far. Really,
Yeah, with that one.
there's been
He's
too
given
many
me-
players that have had one good season and then just never did it again. It's not
Given
the
me,
time
you know-
now to spend 70 million on that guy.
He's given me
If
like
he was 30 million, sure, why not?
You remember that Piatek guy that we wanted? Piatek?
Yeah.
Bro, he's
Yeah.
given me massive vibes of him. He was an amazing finisher in that season. Bro, like I don't know. And in his season before, he scored like 7 goals or something in Portugal. Like, and now he scored 31. Like, what's that all about? It's just too dodgy. It's too much for risk.
I'd rather have had the lad that went to Juventus, to be honest. What was his name? From Fiorentina. That
Vlahovic.
Oh,
Vlahovic.
Vlahovic,
Yeah,
yeah. But
I would rather have
again,
him.
same thing, bro. Big striker, penalty box striker. We don't
he would
need
be
that.
he would genuinely be another Lukaku, unfortunately.
Haaland
reckon?
as well. I'm really worried. I'm
No.
really wondering how Haaland would have done here, bro. He's not good in possession-based teams. He sucks.
Haaland would have moved. He moves. He makes
No,
things
he-
happen for himself. Lukaku
He
don't
still
make things
sucks
happen
on
for
the
himself.
ball. He still sucks on the ball,
I think he would be a bit more.
I don't know
effective
about that.
bro. He sucks.
I think
I've
sucks
watched
is
him
maybe
a
a
lot.
I
harsh
disagree with
word,
that
but
as
he's not as good on the ball as we require him to be in our system. But then who knows what system we're going to play next year? But we also said the same thing literally a year ago when we were all dead convinced that we will play a back four in now this season, and we didn't, and we're not. So who the flip even knows? Pice, by the way, is this true that Hazard was at Wembley? I saw the
No,
picture.
he wasn't.
I thought so.
No.
I think
So
the same.
Paul Carnival tweeted out like, "Enjoy the game, lads. Have Hazard and Fabregas," and you responded to me saying, "Oh, why does everyone think they're at Wembley? They can watch on the TV." I was like, "Well, you said they enjoy the game, so I thought they were at
But there
Wembley."
was
He
some
was like,
there was
"No,
some picture though.
no, it's fake. It's from years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was.
It's
Okay.
a fake picture,
It's
yeah.
100% fake."
And for some reason, flipping Real Madrid are now 2-0 down to Sevilla. Why couldn't you do that last week? I mean, I guess you did. They were 3-0 down to Arsenal, but
Yeah.
still. But yeah, I mean, on the other subs, is there anything much to say? Ziyech had one shot from outside the box, which he didn't get enough power.
He
and
also
high
had a
voltage.
sitter from the Lukaku miss.
True.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, after Lukaku hit the post, Ziyech got it and couldn't get it off the ground.
Was that not a good block though?
I thought he hit
but
it right
obviously
into the
get it
keeper.
off the ground, it can't be blocked.
Yeah, true. Ziyech does have good shooting, so I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. But it's also a bit unlucky, obviously. You got to snatch at it because the ball's coming at you. You got to just hit it, and you hit it how you hit it. But it's probably an NA anyway. And clearly the same goes for Thiago Silva. I didn't even see him actually be on the pitch. I saw him come on, but I didn't see him do anything. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna round it out. It was his right foot. Well, that's not an excuse. You're a professional footballer. The whole was my weak foot doesn't run. Just because you have a bad weak foot doesn't allow you to have a bad weak foot. It's just a weakness of yours if you do have that. But anyway, if he skied it, we'll be giving him stick. Yes, Cranky Pants, we absolutely would be. But that goes for every goal. If you sky it, you're gonna get criticized. If you miss it, you're gonna get criticized. That's the goal is reasonably big. It's like 8 yards wide, it's 3 yards high or 250. And that's plenty of space. Like, do you know what I mean? But anyway. But I think we're going to leave it here, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new here, and I haven't probably told you enough today, but if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. Every new subscriber counts, so please do hit that big red subscribe button down below. Smash the like button for me as well. If you're still here on your way out, just one click of a button. Doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. But yeah, into the FA Cup final against Liverpool. Of course, we will talk about that in due course, in due time when we get to it. First, we've got Arsenal Wednesday, which is a big game, less so for the league, considering how much Arsenal and Spurs bottled it. But, we always want to get one over Arsenal. So let's hope we can do that on Wednesday. But yeah, big shout out to my 3 wonderful guests today. Subscribe to Jem's channel at GNA TV. Link is down in the description below, as is Pice's website, chelseafc365.com. And of course, please do follow Clutch on Twitter. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And I'll see you next time.